Hey! Alright, that's really fun. Story 4. Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood set off one morning to visit her poor, sick grandmamma. She carried a basket of sweet cakes and skipped happily along the forest path. Suddenly, a big wolf stepped out from behind a tree and smiled at her. Now Little Red Riding Hood had never met a wolf before, so she was not afraid, but the wicked wolf licked his lips and thought how nice it would be to eat this little girl all up. "Where are you going?" asked the big bad wolf. "I'm going to visit my grandmamma," answered Little Red Riding Hood. "She lives in the cottage right in the middle of the wood." "I will get there before her," thought the wolf to himself, and off he ran. Soon he was peering inside the cottage window, and there lay grandmamma tucked up in bed. In 2 ticks the wolf was through the door and had eaten her up, spectacles and all. Then he tied her lace bonnet over his head, crawled into bed, and pulled the blankets up under his chin. Soon Little Red Riding Hood arrived at the cottage, and she knocked upon the door. Pull the bobbin to lift the latch," called the wolf, and he sounded very like grandmamma. But when the little girl sat down beside the bed, she was astonished to see how peculiar her grandmamma looked in her night clothes. "Oh, grandmamma, what big ears you have!" said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to hear you with," replied the wolf. "Oh, grandmamma, what big eyes you have!" "All the better to see you with," replied the wolf. "Oh, grandmamma, what big teeth you have!" "All the better to eat you with," cried the wolf, as he leapt from the bed, and he gobbled down Little Red Riding Hood in one mouthful. Now, a little while later, a woodcutter was passing by, and he decided to pay grandmamma a visit. But what a shock he got when he found a great grey wolf fast asleep on her little bed. The woodcutter took one look at his fat tummy and guessed straight away what had happened. With one swift stroke of his knife he cut the big bad wolf from chin to tail, and out jumped Little Red Riding Hood. "Where's your grandmamma?" exclaimed the surprised woodcutter. "Why, here she is," replied Little Red Riding Hood, and together they pulled the old lady out of the wolf. She lay on the bed and had soon recovered from her terrible ordeal. But the grim woodcutter looked at the wolf sternly. He must be punished. "I will sew his stomach full of stones," decided the woodcutter. "That will teach him a lesson he won't forget." Soon the job was done, and when the wolf awoke he could hardly stand. His aching stomach felt as heavy as lead, and try as he might he could not drag one foot in front of the other. The sorry-looking creature dropped dead on the mat, and the woodcutter nodded his head, quite satisfied. Then they shared out the cakes and were never bothered by that big bad wolf again. The end.